myself, there are some things that I wish my younger self knew. And so it is never too early to start. And so I am going to hand over to you, Karrian.
Good morning, everyone. All right, I gotta give you a chance to stand for 1 second and just shake it off a little, guys, right? I know, lots of content, wealth of information has been shared. All right. So I just wanted to get the blood going a little bit. All right, you may have your seats. So, first of all, I want to thank Fujitsu um, for inviting me here. This is amazing. I know you might have to readjust how you're looking at me because I want to make sure that I also capture the audience online in Barbados and Trinidad. And of course, I wouldn't give up the opportunity to be here in person with the team here. So what Sandra Fujitsu, Mervyn and team have organized is really incredible. Because when I'm thinking back to when I was in high school or going into UWI, there's so much that I didn't know, and I didn't know anybody who, could tell me or guide me with the information. And so this kind of forum, even though I know it's a lot of information, and some of it in right now you might be like, is this relevant? Whatever. Trust me, at the right time, it's gonna click back and you're gonna remember. And you're, oh yeah, I remember. Michelle said so and so, and this one said so and so, and it will come together nicely for you. So I'm here to talk to you about two main things today: money and life. Life in general, right? That sounds important, don't it? All right. Let me make sure I introduce my colleague, Chantel McCarthy. She's from NCB Capital Markets. And when we get to the money part, Chantel is the person that you'll be talking to. She'll be in the office right down there after the session. And you can, give her your name or your parents' name, sign up for an account and so on, or get investment advice. So Chantel is one of our top wealth advisors. Well, now senior wealth advisor. Sorry, she was promoted this week. Yeah. So Chantel is one of our top wealth advisors. And she's young. You can see that. I don't mean to give her her age, but she's close to you guys' age. Trust me. Right. So she'll be here to help you afterwards. Yes. So, guys, where to start? I'm so excited. Like, this is a full circle moment for me because I was saying to Sandy yesterday, this building here that I'm standing in was where I had my first real job. Oh. At the time, it was an investment. After I finished high school, I went to Campion. And I got food for UWI. I didn't have the money to pay to go to UWI. So I went to Student Loan Bureau, God bless Student Loan Bureau. Very nervously wondering if I was going to get a loan. And I did because my uncle was a guarantor. And they paid my tuition at UWI, as well as they gave me a grant for books and so on. I know this is kind of a weird angle, but don't mind me, right? So went to UWI, and after getting into UWI, I did waste a little bit of time here and there. The freedom was overwhelming. So I did, it was a combination of things. There were times when maybe slack off is the wrong word. I was trying to adjust for many reasons. My parents had just got very separated. I moved houses and it was taking me longer to get to school from where I lived. I didn't have a lot of resources. I didn't have a computer. I was sharing a small bedroom with my mom. We were sharing the same bed, and from the bed, I could open the fridge from the bed. I could close the bathroom door. I could touch everything in the little room that I lived in with my mom. And so things were just difficult economically and otherwise, and getting up early to take the bus. And I know some of you can relate to what I'm talking about, right? So did UWI, because I had failed some of the courses, so poor study habits, getting home late. I know some of you know the struggle is real. right? The struggle is real on many levels. I ended up having to do an extra semester. So when you do an extra semester, student loan bureau does not pay for that. You must finish on time. And so I was like, I need to go find a job. And so at the time, there was an investment firm that was in this building, and I applied and I got a job as an executive assistant. And I walked in nervously. So at that time, I didn't have any work clothes. Didn't know how to do an interview. I didn't know anything about banking, that's for sure. But I got the job as the executive assistant. And I wasn't even good at that because I didn't know how to be a secretary. I never knew how to take notes. And my boss, God bless his soul, instead of sending me home after 3 months, he said to me, you know what, I think you'd be good on the front line. You'd be good at customer service. So he put me in the branch and I was a customer service officer. And at the time, customer service was downstairs, but I would have to come upstairs right here. This up here was treasury and trading. And so when I came back here yesterday, my heart was so full and I had a little teary-eyed moment to think about those days compared to where I am now. So now, as you know, I'm at NCB. I'm the head of wealth, which is the head of sales and distribution for investment products. So like stocks and bonds and mutual funds and those kind of things, and private banking. And if you had told me the day I walked through this door that I would be able to say that, I would never believe. I was still struggling. I was still trying to figure life out. I was still trying to find my way. And look at me here, back in this building, with that being said, after UE, got the job here, got subsequent promotions really quickly. So I was a customer service officer for a year and a half. And then I wanted to be a trader. The traders were up here in that little room there, and they were making big bucks because it was a bull market. Anybody know what a bull market? What do I mean by when they say a bull market? Anybody knows? All right. Everybody who has heard about stock markets. All right. So the stock market is where you trade shares, right? So a company, when they want to raise funds, they list their stock, and it allows people, anybody, the public, to buy shares. And when they buy the shares, it means they have part ownership of the company, right? And the company gets the money that you've paid for the shares. So even right now, you can buy shares, you have shares for like $1. Seriously, like cents, Jamaican dollar cents, $1, literally. So, you guys, there's a junior stock market and there is the normal stock market, right? So, anybody know of any company listed on the stock exchange? Yes, NCC is listed. I'll give you another hint. There's a poster up in here. Grace Kennedy. Right. Trans Jamaica Highway, correct. Correct. So guys, I encourage all of you to open an account. So listen to this. When I was here now and I started to understand banking and finance and this thing, I was like, goodbye, poverty, right? Guess what, guys? I started to save my salary, a part of my salary. So one of the first things I did, hurry up and pay off the student loan, right? Because again, one of the things you guys will face is that when you finish school, you might still have that debt burden. You're still paying student loans, so you still can't really, start your life the way you want to. So I hurry up and try and pay off that student loan. The next thing I did, I started to buy shares. So that's one of the most cost-effective investments. It has a risk because it's long-term in nature and it goes up and down depending on what's happening in the market. But I always say don't invest more than you can lose, and also think of investing long-term. Well, guys, when I bought the shares when I joined here, a year and a half after I joined, so it was a bull market, means that the market is doing very well. Most of the stocks are going up, right? But when the market is down, anybody have any idea what that's called? Yeah, it's bearish. So the bull and the bear always fighting in the market. Right. So when I joined, it was a bull market. And by the time I was ready to do my MBA, I was able to pay for my MBA cash. Talk to me. Hello. Cash was from student loan to being able to pay for my master's in a year and a half cash. I'm not saying that but it might necessarily be your story, but I'm just showing you the possibilities, right? Of however you decide to invest, making sure, as you say, you have that alpha, something that's working for you. So you can't get wealthy by saving, just saving, If you just park your money in a bank account, you're earning probably less than 1%. Fixed deposit maybe 3%. Then the next category would be like a repurchase agreement. You're probably earning 4 or 5%. You have bonds or bond funds. But equity is the most aggressive. It's but it also has the greatest upside. So I would say, no matter how small, and especially because you're young, you have time on your side, you should absolutely think about investing in equity. And as a matter of fact, at NCB, not only can you invest in the local stock exchange, you can invest on the international market. So anybody know of any other companies that's on the international stock market? Yes, Nvidia, that's a tech company. Anybody else know of any? I'll give you some hints. Like you shop on it every day. Amazon, yes. Any other ones? Any tech companies you can think of? Apple, yes. Any other? Samsung, Google, yes. So you guys in tech and AI and all that, you can buy tech stocks. Yes. Right? So one of the other things that I had to learn very early, so other than paying off my debt as quickly as possible, because one of the things they look at is what the interest rate is for the debt that you have versus your potential earning. So, for example, at the time, I think my student loan, the interest rate was like 19%. What I went by that paid me 19%, right? So that's why for me, it made sense to try and hurry up and pay it off, right? If you can. Then the other thing I'm thinking, how do I maximize my earnings, right? So that is why I started. So I actually have a diverse portfolio. So I had I introduced in another concept to you, unit trust. Anybody ever heard of the term unit trust? I'm going to ask Chantel to explain what a unit trust is to you. So Chantel is the #1 salesperson when it comes to unit trust in the whole of NCB. All 2,500 employees, all 36 branches. Chantel.
Right? So unit trust is basically a pool of assets. So instead of investing in one thing, you're investing in a variety of things. So like the stocks that you mentioned, bonds, we have the government securities, so just a pool of it. That allows you to basically mitigate against any kinds of risk investments. So don't just invest in one thing, invest in a variety so that your risk is spread across different assets. And that's unit trust.
Thank you, Chantel.
Big bad one will be stuff it.
Yes. So essentially, you might say, okay, what is this unit trust about? All right. So you have different categories of unit trust. You have short term, medium term, long term, right? And then they have different asset classes. So you have the short term ones would be like a money market fund. And that means, so it's short term because it's investments under a year, right? And like usually if you go in a money market fund, the maximum you might have to stay in it is 30 days, right? So it's very liquid. And why a unit trust, like, so if it's short term, you might say, so why would I bother put it in a money market fund? Why don't I just keep it in my savings account? Because as I told you, in a savings account, you're probably earning less than 1%. But in a money market fund, you're earning about 6%, right? 6 point something right now, Chantel, right? There's a difference between less than 1% and 6%, right? Especially the more money you have in the fund. All right. Then you might do a medium-term investment. So let's say you have money that you can put away for 3 years, 3 to 5 years. Maybe that's you saving to buy a car or something medium term. Again, you could say, all right, let me put it in a fixed deposit and keep rolling it, or putting it in a repo. But instead, you could put it in a bond fund. um, or a bond. The reason why you might not be able to put it in a bond is because the minimum investment for many bonds is quite high. All right, so well, for certain Jamaican dollar bonds, maybe it's like 100,000 Jamaican. But for a US dollar bond, many times it's 100,000 US dollars. It's the minimum. So you can see where that is kind of prohibitive, right? So the bond fund, because the company will buy the bond and you have different investors pooling their funds, it means that your 200 US with your 200 US and your 200 US with your 500 US add up to the $100,000, right? And so it's a pooled investment. So you don't have to take on all the risk of finding 100,000 US by yourself. So that's why you would buy a bond fund or a bond unit trust, because it's pool and it allows you to come in with what you have. You get it? Anybody can kind of explain what I just explained to you in your own words. Remember, you guys are tech guys in this. If you don't get it 100% right, I'm okay. Anybody want to take a stab? Arms.
So it's when that purchasing in one and the interest that you don't take on the risk all by yourself.
Right.
So you how much money you have and you and other people the money to the next invest.
Yes, very good choice. Sure, want come in finance? Yeah, it's be a right all around man. So she got it, absolutely. Oh, okay, so she was just reiterating what I was saying, that you don't take all the risk, you pool your money with other people's money, and you're able to participate in the instrument, right? All right, I just want to make sure I don't lose you guys, because it took me years to simplify these concepts, so I was filling it to you and giving you, back in the day we used to buy so-and-so for dummies, or the Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes is still a thing? I'm dating myself. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So I'm just trying to break it down for you. Then if you say you want to go medium term, another option is real estate fund, right? And actually the real estate fund at NCB is one of our top performing funds. Boy, that is Chantel, baby. Chantel, what do you want to say about that?
So our real estate fund allows you to invest in actual live properties. So it's not just assets like stocks or whatnot, it's actual properties. And since the past 3 years, I'm happy to say that fund has performed over 60%. And that's just 3 years. And you guys are pretty young. So I can just imagine what your growth will be on that. So that's why when Dr. Karrian say, want to invest, that's what she's talking about, because you will have the ability to pay that school fee in cash. Right?
Wow. So you see that, guys, can you imagine if whatever is it, after graduation, gift of 100,000 and you take out for 3 years and you earn 60%, that's an additional $16,000, right? And then there's a compounding effect to it, depending on if you leave your money and the distributions go back. So I'm just showing you guys that there is a way. There are ways for you to earn from early. Come on, not the my chance.
Another thing is that it actually pays quarterly dividends.
Quarterly dividends. Like how they pay that eating.
That means a share of the profit. So each quarter, every 3 months, you would get back something and then you can invest it in something else. That way it can be compounding and making some money. Okay, so that's the beauty of the real estate fund.
So I want you guys to go and do your homework. Go through that Googling and go and find the options that pay me double digit. And I'm not forgetting my Trinity and my Asian people, by the way. These same options we're talking about, there are options like that in your location. So there's the Barbados Stock Exchange, there's the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. And I'm going to fast forward as a matter of fact, I used to live in Trinidad. Yes. So the Trinidad will understand what I'm saying. I'm Trinidad to the bone, don't watch the Jamaican accent. So I actually just moved back from Trinidad 2.5 years ago. I was living in Trinidad for 12.5 years. Yeah, so let me fast forward to that part of the story. So, all right, guys, so I was here at the investment fund, and then I wanted to join the trader because it was a bear market. That's where we were. Because it was a bear market. And then my boss at the time said, I don't think you should be a trader. I think you should stay on the front line. You should do customer service and sales. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to be an investment advisor. When I think about sales people just sound annoying to me, like I have to stop people and bother them and hear a bag of noise, and I didn't want to do it. And I did it kicking and screaming, but it was one of the best decisions I made. Well, not it was made for me. So anyway, I did this investment advisor job, right? And so I can still do a little better. All right, so I did the investment advisor job, and that's where I learned the most because now I had to be structuring portfolios for clients, and it was pretty intimidating. So like I had to do bond proposals, I had to do that, basically learn and be able to give advice confidently and accurately. And so lots of growth there. And then after I did that for a year and a half, I was promoted to head of private banking. And that, at the time I was 25, that was really intimidating for me because it was my first leadership position. And on top of that, private banking is the area of the bank that deal with the really wealthy clients, the high net worth clients. And I was like, it's bad enough giving them advice, but you can imagine a wealthy client is upset with an advisor for whatever reason, demands to see the manager, and this 25-year-old walks out. And remember, I freshly stepped out of poverty. What do I know about wealth? I'm still wearing the t-shirt. So it just felt disingenuous on many different levels. And so there was a lot for me to figure out. And so what should have been a huge blessing actually overwhelmed me. When I got the promotion, I cried, not tears of joy, tears of stress. I was just like, why would they do this to me? Because I just didn't feel ready. And so what that forced me to do, it was a complex thing. So one, the advisors in the team were my friends. Some of them were more mature than me. I'm like, are they going to listen to me? When the clients see me, they're going to think I'm a fraud. Like, what can a 25-year-old tell me about wealth? I'm wealthy because the minimum at the time to be in private banking was 100,000 US. And I just didn't feel ready, qualified, nothing. So what I actually decided to do is I decided to go and do a doctorate. So I finished the MBA, remember paying for the MBA cash based on the stuff, decided to do a doctorate. So I thought to myself, well, when they asked for the manager and they come and see this scrawny 25-year-old, I was very mager. And when they come, even though I look young, and they certainly don't know me from their circles, they would see behind me Dr. Karrian Hepburn, and they'd be like, oh, she's young, but she has sense, like she's smart. That was my plan. So went and did doctorate, right? And what the doctorate did for me was that I did a doctorate in leadership, so I got very familiar with leadership concepts. And then I realized it's okay. Because I was trying to figure out what kind of leader do I want to be. Do I want to be an authoritarian, like strike fear into my team? Do I want to be a charismatic leader? Do I want to be a servant leader? And I had to know wrap my mind around this leadership thing. And I eventually settled on servant leadership. I thought it was the thing that would be most authentic to me because the people I was leading were my friends and they were my team. And so I think like they wouldn't have believed if I tried to take on this authoritarian role. So instead, I decided to take on an approach. I was in the trenches with them, working alongside each other. So because the client pieces together and we did stuff together, and I started to find my own footing, my own grounding. Then the organization was going through some changes. They had sold to a bigger bank. And again, I was like, oh, things kind of shaky up here. What do I want to do? And I eventually took a risk and I decided to take a promotion to Mandeville. So I lived in Mandeville for 3 years. So I did a branch in Mandeville, then I got the region, which was having advisors in branches in Mandeville, Santa Cruz Junction, Black Ribbon, Dingley, San Lamar, right? And then even during that time, I had to figure things out. I wasn't from Mandeville, I didn't know anybody. And they said that Mandeville is for the newlywed and the nearly dead, and I was neither. So went to Mandeville, figured it out, made Mandeville my home. And for those of you who have to move or travel or go anywhere, I say try and get in a community really quickly. So like I joined a Rotary Club down there, and I joined different organizations, and they became my family and my friends all in one. And then just as I was about to get settled in Mandeville, I got a call saying, have you ever been to Trinidad? And I was like, I went once to Carnival, but I didn't know anybody. And essentially they're like, how would you like to go to Trinidad to head up a business there? So by this time, everything I'm doing is where I was working became Scotia Investments. And so they sent me to Trinidad to be the general manager for Scotia Investments, Trinidad and Tobago. So by that time I was like 13, right? And that too was a big move because I was moving country, right? So that's how I ended up in Trinidad. And the first year, I was so homesick. The first weekend I cried because I didn't know anybody there. Like, what did I do to myself in this early stage of my life? Like, I should be around friends, and instead I was in this country by myself. I didn't know anybody. And anyway, by year 3, I had friends, I had a church, I had a whole community, right? To the point where I was on secondment, which is a contract. When it was time for me to come back to Jamaica, I'm like, I'm not ready. I found myself my own job and stayed in Trinidad. Right? So for those of you in Trinidad, I know you know Scotia Bank. I then moved on to Trinidad and Tobago Unit Trust Corporation, which is the largest mutual fund or unit company in Trinidad. And it's the largest indigenous mutual fund company in the English-speaking Caribbean. And that's where I met the amazing Fujitsu team. So when I was at Unit Trust, there are big unit trust companies that have like, let's say $5 billion US funds under management, and they needed to overhaul their systems, and through Fujitsu, they decided to overhaul their tech systems. So that's where I met Mervin and Sandy and a lot of the Fujitsu team, and I learned so much about technology there. And I was tasked with leading the technology project for that company. And I came to love and be so interested in tech that I actually started my own business, which was a tech-based company. So I started this company called Workly, and it was a tech platform that connected people looking for employees with people looking for jobs. So it was kind of like Upwork or Fiverr, right? Okay. So yeah, that's what the platform was. I'm like, look at me. I started talking at tech conferences and thing, girl. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so tech and business, yeah, this thing makes sense. And then I did another tech venture called iLand Gigs. And essentially it was a tech platform again that connected people who were putting on events with people, with service providers. And as I said, every step of the way, I would call on Mother Sandy and Mervyn for guidance, support, the Fujitsu team. And so now, they were my friends and they were my partners and they were my colleagues outside of banking, outside of normal work. And I just learned so much from them, and I got so much support from them. So after Unit Trust, spent 5 years at Unit Trust. Then I went to, interestingly, I got a call to join a media company. And when I got the call, they said they're looking for a managing director. And my name came up. And I said to the lady, you sure you have the right number? My name is Karrian Hepburn Malcolm, and I'm a banker. And she's like, yeah, I know who you are. I looked you up on LinkedIn. So guys, I'm plugging that for you. Social media, technology. And I also plug in that your prospective employers checking your social media profiles, And you know, with technology, they can find anything now. So I know this is like the best time of your life. And for those who like to party and go out and post all kind of things, guys, remember the internet, right? Can be your enemy or your friend, right? So for those of you who, I know you're young, you're having fun, risky pictures, outlandish behavior, right? Because that can actually impact your future, right? I remember having to have a little chat with my younger sister when I stumbled upon her social media page. I was like, my Lord. You know, so what I'll say is that to fast forward, so I did the media, I worked at the media company, it's called Guardian Media. So they're the equivalent of what the RTR group here is in Jamaica. So at the time I was overseeing the newspaper, which was more than 100 years old, kind of like what Gleaner is. The local TV station, CNC3, I know the Trinity people know what CNC3 is. The local radio stations in Trinidad, including Guyana. And that was an awesome experience. And also there, I mean, I got lots of exposure to technology from a media and communications perspective. And it was including AI and, including social media and algorithms and you name it. So that was very interesting. But as God would have it, I came back to Jamaica 2.5 years ago. I got an opportunity at NCB and, I had a reflective moment over the last couple of months, and it drew me to write a book. So I wrote a book that you heard Sandy mention called Discovering Purpose, and Fujitsu has been so kind. They've purchased a copy for each of you, including you guys in Trinidad. So everything that I told you about is in here. I just launched a book February of this year. So I think, I'm in my creative era, so I wrote a book, and I wrote a song, and I launched a song, and the song is on all the streaming platforms, Amazon, Spotify, Apple, check me out, right? And listen, AI has been my friend in the sense that when I'm morphing into all these things, every minute we go to AI, forget a perspective, I'm like, so what should my profile be like? No, I ask AI all these things. What tones, what colors suit me? Since AI recommend these glasses for me. Tortoise shell glasses. And it said it would fit my skin tone. I said, all right, and Chantel said, fit it for true. I said, all right. Yeah, all kind of things. Like a moving house, and I'll ask it for moving tips. And normally I'd move in the boxes, the carton boxes, and it suggested moving in clear plastic tubs. And I said, that makes sense. I can see what in it. Right? So I get all kind of practical tips, but you heard other speakers say that honestly, you can't trade the value you bring, your uniqueness, your flair, your passion, your ideas for what is in AI. AI is a tool, it's to help you like anything else, right? And technology is to help you, but there's still something really special about the humans and your soul and your heart and what you bring to the table. So guys, with all of that said, it's been such an amazing pleasure being with you guys. And I hope some part of my story resonate with you. And I'll be here, and Chantel is here, and the book is here, and you can find me on every single platform. If you ever need to reach me, and I'll give you my number so you can write it down, you can WhatsApp me. My number is 876-879-8255.